So, yeah, what other things have you heard about in like things like pain management? Have you or had any gone into that at all?
Yes, and it's interesting because especially the ones that medically they can't find anything, and yet they're continually having sharp pain in their in a specific part of their back, or in their ears. And I've taken people back where they've been tortured and they've had things shoved into their ears, like hammered into their. I mean, some horrible stuff. But anyways, there's no medical explanation, and we can't understand. It's got to be psychosomatic. So if a person has been told that they've got something psychosomatic with them, that's a really good time to find somebody who can take them, instead of medically, to take them into hypnosis and find the cause. And then when they can go back and see where the cause is to bring through healing and releasing and finding out why and why they've brought it into this lifetime, to see what it is to teach them. And usually that releases. And I've had people who've had tremendous back pain, especially between shoulder blades or even in their sides, where they've been run through with spears and arrows. And this last one case that I did, she had an arrow in her shoulder blade and another arrow in the lower part of her back that went through and pierced her lung. So she has a lot of breathing issues, like asthma and stuff like that. And so once she got to see where that originated from, she could let go of the psychosomatic effect of it and roll that up, and that's why she walked out without any pain. It's a great healing thing, and the mind and the higher self can heal the body instantly if the belief system is there. And so when you go through this regression or a hypnosis, where you can open up and all those suggestions are coming through for the body to heal itself, it responds. It's very, very powerful process. So there's a lot of healing to be done through those levels.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm sure you've experienced it yourself.
Yeah. I try to get better and better at releasing pain over distance and helping people. A lot of the more powerful stuff is getting them to be able to amplify their belief in their self, to release it themselves, and then it be more successful. Because a lot of the times they're contracted to learn how to do it because it's like a reflection of something that really needs their attention. It's not like, oh yeah, just let this other guy heal your pain. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, so that you believe you can, and then that will allow it. But like, if it's a deeper thing, then I have to work them through a process of going deeper into where the pain's coming from, how it manifested, existed, its anchors, and perpetuation and the motivation behind it. If it's them and the allowance and all that, it's like, oh, okay. And it usually always successful, and it's really fun. But most people don't have that at all. They don't have people like you and me that can help them through that. So it's like, oh boy, what we're dealing with. But like, hey, there's opportunity for grand growth in the future as more of this information comes out. So it's really good.
It's very multidimensional, really, isn't it, Sean? Because these things, just over a period of time when you're working with these things, appear. And the inner knowingness is, all of a sudden that inner knowingness comes through, and you know where to take it, because you're working from your higher self, and you're working with the support of your guides that are giving you the information to help clear and take it through. Because I was never taught how to do all of this. This just all came through experience. And it's like, okay, where do I take this? And then all of a sudden I just get this intuition on how to take it through. And I was super, super impressed with your healing on my daughter when you're here, just recently, and like she was having extreme pain in her back, and she had like 3 bulging discs, and when you worked with that, and even though it was like reasonably painful for her at the time, she could not believe the release that you gave her and the healing that she got when you worked with her hands-on. So, if anybody can ever work with you hands-on in that depth of healing, you are amazing.
Thank you so
I've just
much.
never seen that level. Never seen it.
And thank you so much for being there and helping through it. You made that way more powerful and incredible, like to where it physically healed the hologram very strongly. And it was like, so how's she doing now, by the way?
She's doing a lot better, but I think she's recreated some of it. I'm looking forward to you coming back this way.
Yeah. And
No,
she's got a lot on her shoulders, so
She does. She has a lot, and I'm just trying to pin her down to come and have some sessions with me also, to get to the root cause. It's just like she's constantly on the go, so it's very hard to pin her down.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, some more things to ask. Have you ever interacted with regressions into like visitation of like maybe spirits or multidimensional beings or like even ETs and stuff?
Yeah, they've appeared in a regression when a person has gone back onto another planet, and the beings here have had the mantis beings appear in the room and give me direction. As also they're reminding me that they've worked with me on another planet, and which really shocked me at the time, because I shouldn't, but I was like, I'm here, I am doing this work for somebody else, and it's like it was a double-sided thing. I was getting assistance at the same time, actually right there beside me. I'm like, okay, I'm open, I'm accepting. That's powerful, and there's been other different entities that have appeared when I've been doing this as well, and they've all been a part of this person that I've been working on, part of their guides through lifetimes as well. Lifetimes, it's experiences. It's just amazing. You just never know what's going to show up.
Well said. Yeah. Yeah, similar, and I keep tracking back things. It's always like, is this real? And then the more like memory, the more emotions, like especially if it's traumatic, it's like, why is this trauma here? And it doesn't give you any other reason besides that, and it's like, oh well, shit. And then you actually address it in that, like, oh, even if it's like far out there, and you give it what it needs, and the emotional releases, then it's like more impactful into like belief of like, oh, these things exist, and it's like there's a lot of rules for their interaction with people on this planet, so a lot of it like has to work through amnesia barriers where they're working with the chess players here and not too much interfering with their game, because it's very important to keep the perfected timeline of a creation to allow us to go through a scenario where we're all coming together in unity and we're throwing off the parasites and reclaiming our free will by ourselves, and not giving that power away to some other being like we've done in the past. But like a lot of our soul family wants to talk to us, and there's like these avenues such as with past life regression where we can connect with that in a deeper way, and then their calling cards are there, and then we can talk to them more in the future if anyone wants that. You can contact Debbie on that, as well as myself. Let's see. So, more into what is your opinion on the nature of memory?
Wow, that's a good one. I've got to think about that. So, in what way do you mean that? What's my take on memory of what we hold? I believe that actually that when the soul engages the fetus in the womb, that it imprints all of its experiences into the cellular memory. So it's not just in our brain, but all our memories also are locked into our cellular memory, and that's why when you've had physical experiences in a past life, that's you've either been decapitated or had been run through with a spear and stuff like that, they show up as a weakness in your body. And you're wondering why, why have I, having so many neck problems? Well, for myself personally, I've been decapitated, I've been hung, had a lot of stuff happen around my neck, and then I've had whiplash in this lifetime. And it was to remind me, obviously, to go back and trace it back, which I did. And that's when I found out that I had all these other things. And it's also, so I still have a bit of a weakness. It didn't completely heal. At times I still have to go and get a neck adjustment, but I think that sometimes also our stresses and our life experiences sometimes pull heavy into the muscles, which will help pull out certain areas where there's a little bit of a weakness. But yes, I feel that the body holds a lot of memory.
Mm. Yeah. What is your way you would define memory? Not like pressuring the the like here's the divine perspective here, but you know, like everyone has a puzzle piece and perspective that adds to it, and it gets grander and grander the deeper we go.
I think that a lot of memories also comes through from our ancestors, because that comes through the soul, but also there's genetic memory. And so sometimes people say to me, well, how do I know that this memory is mine and not my grandfather's experience coming through? And sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference, but when I've got them in hypnosis, I ask them, is this your memory, or did this memory come through from your ancestors? A lot of the time it comes through from the ancestors as well. But then you're being born through an ancestral line that's carrying through, and you keep coming through for a reason until that's healed. I don't know if that really answered what you're asking me.
Yeah, that's a good add-on to it. Like everyone's, I'm trying to like decipher like more on memory, and I think everyone I ask like adds more to it, so it's like better and better. I think it's a very old thing that's like older than most things that we could even imagine, because it's such a foundational aspect. Because without it, what do we have? We have a stream of energy that continues to create but does not have a past. So it's like the entire existence of what past could be, and I guess there could also be a memory of the future, but is that called memory? It can be. Yeah, there's a lot of deep things.
Very complex. Yeah. Very, very complex. Because also, you hear cases, and I've even seen it on movies and everything too, probably just to bring it out into the open, where people have car accidents and get amnesia. And now their whole memory is erased. Say their whole memory, if they've had massive brain damage and their whole memory gets erased, who are they?
No.
They don't remember who they are, and their whole personality can change, but completely be a different person. So there's that aspect too, of that physical aspect of the memory, how the brain holds that memory.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a deep secret that has many locks and turns and avenues to it to make it a fine working system. Yay, we will crack the code. So more into, I'd love to ask, what other types of skills do you offer for people if they want to learn more about who you are and what you can do for them?
What do you mean by what other skills? Because most of my work that I do is on Skype these days. A lot of people contact me through. I do have one-on-ones here that people in Washington State prefer to come in and have one-on-ones with me. But doing it on Skype is just as successful, and some people feel more comfortable doing it in their own home, in their own little environment where they feel a lot safer. That's another aspect of it. I was doing some cranial sacral work. I just find that this one seems to, past life regression work seems to be the most successful for me and my clients, because it heals on a deeper level. You're just so multi-talented, Sean, that you can do cranial sacral massage, and your cranial sacral and your healing is like so many levels deep compared to just the normal person who just does that as another technique. You're just so multi-layered with your experience I just tend to stick to hypnosis mainly.
That's a good avenue, because that, like, so many things you gain from that. So awareness that it keeps going. So go there for a lifetime. I'm glad that you're writing a book too. I definitely want to get. Do you have any idea what it might be called in the future? Well, if you don't have it set up, you don't have to say. Then people will take it, and I'm like, ah.
I don't know, but maybe, finding who you truly are, or something like that,
That's nice.
Because a lot of people don't realise. They just think, I think a lot of people now are waking up anyways. But the people who are still searching for answers and are looking to improve their life because of the situations that they find that their experiences are in. And the reason why they get locked into these experiences is it's a wake-up call. We don't get thrown into adverse experiences unless it's something right here in front of you that goes, there's got to be a solution. It makes you start searching for something. But I bring to people's attention that they no longer need to be a victim. When you go deep within yourself and you go back through past lives, you realise there's more to yourself than you're being told in this world. Basically, most people are being brought up to believe this is all there is. That you live this life and then you either go to heaven or you go nowhere. And when you're dead, you're dead type of thing. So they've got no aspect, but that doesn't give them any answers, because there's so many. You look at all the different situations in the world. You look at India and all these children starving on the street. Why? Why are they experiencing? Why do they come into this life to experience poverty and pain and starvation? And it just seems so unjust. And I used to be a religious person. And I used to think, well, if there was a God, why is he allowing these people to suffer? There's got to be a reason. And when I started to get involved into opening up the aspect that there is reincarnation and you do have an opportunity, you're here to actually, it's a soul's journey, it's a soul's experience, and you choose to come in and partake in these different scenarios, whether you come in to choose to get abused because of you've been an abuser, or there's so many different aspects to it. But there is, and we don't have to be a victim any longer. When you take that power back and you find out the reasons of why you're going through trauma or suffering or whatever your experiences are, there is a reason. And I'd like to bring that out into the public, and say there is hope, there is a reason. You can take control back of your life, and you can be empowered, and you can live your life totally abundant and fulfilling.
I agree. Yeah, and that's a lot of what the atheists say is like, oh, of course there's not a God, because if there was, why would he let all these things happen? I was like, well, where do you put all the abusers and the things that the people need lessons? It's not you just send them all to hell. I mean, like, of course it makes sense from the perspective of first grade spirituality, but going into awareness of energy doesn't get created and destroyed, and it likes to recycle itself and continue on, and like all these spirits in the Gospel of Thomas had reincarnation in it, and they took things out, and it's like, oh, these rabbit holes that lead you there, but you have to seek to find it. I mean, suffering has a purpose, and a lot of people are super stubborn, and they're not going to learn until they let all these teachers enter their life trying to kindly allow them to learn their lesson and give them that, and each one of those gets denied, then the last teacher you get is suffering, and that's needed suffering. There's of course unneeded suffering on this planet, which is like, if you see the light, dark, and neutral, and the whole dynamic of evolution in a balanced state, it throws a wrench into all that, and is just unneeded, draining parasitic power to power differential over a perfected system of growth, and that doesn't need to exist and can be resolved, but it will have a reflection in a wound that is usually based on the the wounded and the victims reclaiming their power in the scenario where, oh, I'm a brave spirit, I'll incarnate as this being that gets abused or whatever, and then the being that's like the darkness and a representation lightning rod for a whole swath of the universe enters their game, and through that entanglement it's agreeing after that initial wound to where besides it trying to imprint onto that being that victim and like steal its energy in other parts, the victim itself has a grand authority within that dark being's game, and it can bring, as it heals itself, it can bring a huge healing to that aspect of the dark parts of that universe, and that will change the whole multiverse for the better, which is some of the reasons why we came here, even though we forget, and it's like, oh, why the heck are we here? And it's like, it sucks. But, you know, we're the brave ones that, like, decided to come in, so.
Especially this time too, it's very needed because, you know, this is a huge time where there is extreme change, and it's like, it's very extreme to one side to the other side, you know, and it's forcing people to search for answers, because even just the political scene and the world scene that's going on it's like a pressure cooker, and it's building and it's building and it's building, and everybody's like, what's going to happen next, you know? And they're talking about this coronavirus and you know, all this other stuff.
It's been on the Simpsons episode, and it was on like the Febreze bottle way before it came out, so it's like, oh, this is already a made thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is,
yeah, because when they can get people into fear, they've got control, and also the fear creates the immune system to lower, and then they can actually weaponize these viruses, and you know, people can pick it up, and then the pharmaceuticals all benefit, and the fear and you know, keeps. So yeah, so we just have to turn that around and just say, you know what, this is just another one of their games. We're stronger than that. We can rise above it. Let's raise our frequency. We don't have to be subjected to all of this stuff. Like we did the other day, it was very powerful. Yeah, and just even looking at the energies today, which is just really incredible. You know, it's the 2nd of the 2nd, 2020, and they call this a palindrome day. You know, this is the first time in 909 years that this gateway has opened. And so it's just, and I just thought, how auspicious, Sean and I are going to get on together and do this show in this, you know, in this beautiful gateway that's just opened up for us.
And what do you think's coming out of the gateway? Freedom. So if you're here on this day, reclaim more of your freedom. It's a perfect opportune time. A lot of things are coming out.
Yeah, what blew me away too, it says it's also the 33rd day of 2020. So, you know, it's amazing how things happen in 3s and 33s and all that sort of stuff. And then I look further on that thing that I sent you, and it says we have 333 days to go till the end of this year. Isn't that just mind-boggling? And so I just thought, there's no accidents, you know, this is the perfect time to set up and do this show and bring out some more information to help people to get a more sense of what's available to them, to help them shift forward in this type of environment that's being set up by, you know, to bring imbalance. There's so much being thrown at the public now and at the people, but you know, in a way it's beautiful, because it's forcing people to say, no, I don't want this reality. I do to change it. You know, what direction can I turn into? What modalities, or what can I do for myself? And so people get drawn to what they need to, and it's good to put out their options.
Yeah. And as people go into more asleep or more awake, and the catalyst of it, what creates change in that chaos. Create order or succumb to the chaos. Either one, but you know, giving your power away is the chaos. So what kind of concepts into vision questing do you go in your regressions? Because I also like doing that and walking somebody through a questing to like claim more of their vision and go deeper into themselves, and it starts getting more HD and brighter and easier into sense into that daydream capacity and lucidity. And it leads to many different avenues of themselves and a cool reclaiming of their power.
Well, what I do at the end of a session also is that after they've experienced the past life, they've gone back and they get that whole story. I call it just it's a life story, because our life is just like everybody has a story, right? So at the end of that regression, and after I find out what their soul contracts were and what they concluded at their point of death is, a lot of the time those conclusions, and if they're negative, pretty negative. And they're carried into this one. So I always ask their higher self now to tell them, how did that past life reflect? How does it reflect into this lifetime? And all of a sudden, I just get their higher self just comes through with all this information about how their life in this lifetime is reflective of a lot of those attitudes and where it's reflecting and whereabouts in their life it's reflecting. And so I say, if you had made a different choice in that past life, how would that life have been different? I'll get them to have a look, because there's timelines, there's multiple timelines, and every choice that we make will flip you into a different timeline or an outcome. And so and it's like, and what I mean by that, I'll give you an example. If I hadn't made the choice to move to the US when I did, I would be living a totally different reality right now in Australia. So all our choices that we make change our outcomes. And so when I get them to look at, say if they had forgiven, say it was all about forgiveness at this past life regression, and I say to them, had you been able to forgive that person, I'm going to ask your higher self to open up and show you how that timeline would have been, and they went, oh, I would have married, I would have had children, I would have been really abundant, I would have been happy. All just because they didn't forgive. So it brings out a whole different timeline. And so then I ask them, their higher self, so how can you now, in this lifetime, I ask the higher self, what can you do in this lifetime now to make a different outcome? And and so the higher self will give them a whole lot of information about what they can do now to bring about change. Besides rolling that up, and it will bring a change, what else can they incorporate and how? And like the other day, yesterday, I had a client, and she was told, you need to do a fire ceremony. She was Native American. You need to do some fire ceremonies. You need to write down all the things that you want to release from your life that don't work anymore. Put them on a piece of paper and put them into the fire. That's something that you and I have done. But I never gave her that. Her higher self gave her that. So I asked the higher self to not to project into the future, but into the present moment. What can you do now, and how will this change everything? And so they give themselves I did 3 pages with this last client that I had of all the how-tos and what to do to bring about what she wants in this life. And there's certain things that she wanted to release. She was addicted to Pepsi Cola. And then I asked her emotional body, what's the emotion around the addiction to this Pepsi Cola? And it was a comfort, and it was about the abuse from her father. So there's certain things, there's certain addictions that we have that emotionally, there's an emotional attachment to it. And so I always ask the higher self, what is the emotional attachment to this particular thing that you're addicted to, or that you've got a craving for? And so, the higher self also, she wanted to lose weight, and that the emotional body was hanging on to all this weight for protection. So I said, is there any way that you can assist her now? What can she do to release all this weight and allow this just to drop away? And the higher self basically came through and said, I will help her. So then I asked the higher self, can we open up and make the channel clearer for her connection with her higher self? And then the higher self told her how she could meditate and what time that would be most appropriate for her to meditate, go into meditation, so that the higher self will come through and answer any questions or give her direction. I've had people start channeling in their session, and not only give the person a whole lot of information that's very helpful to them, all of a sudden start channeling and giving me information of how I can improve myself with my abilities. It's the most amazing thing to actually connect in with.
So, if you like this content, please share as much as you can, and subscribe to us, and hopefully, it will bring us to create more content. Ask us if you want more shows like this, and we will keep cracking away at the different information and wisdom behind regression, trance, and the deeper aspects of the body and the spirit and beyond. Can you list how people can get a hold of you for your services?
Yeah, I've got a website called bluerealmhypnosis.net, or you can contact me through my email. It's just dsmartt, SMARTT, @live.com. Feel welcome to contact me, and we can, ask any questions. If you're interested in a session, that's great. But if you just have questions, I'm really happy to answer.
Wonderful. And yeah, you can please do contact her. She's so good. And if you want to get hold of me for past life readings or any other, body programming or other surgical kind of scenarios, yeah, and I still recommend, you need her experiences. You can contact...
People should contact you also if they feel like they're getting energetically and psychically attacked. You're a very, very powerful healer on that one, and you can trace back the source and where it's coming from, and you can clear it. I know a lot of people have mentioned to me that they've felt like they're psychically attacked and whatever, and I do, can I do that? And I would prefer to send you to somebody who's a master of it, and that's Sean Bond.
Oh, I really appreciate
that. Clearing blockages and energy and things that have been coming towards you or being thrown at you that you don't know where it's coming from. Sean can trace it back.
Thank you. And yeah, please see Debbie. She will best past life regression I've ever gone, as well as she can go way beyond that. If you have a scenario that you need attention, just list all the things involved. And also, if it's regarded into going deeper into your power, she's also really good at that. I entered a unique scenario of trying something that I don't really know anyone that's talking about, in going deeper into my source connection, and being able to emanate that more. And it's dramatically different in effect before and after, and increased knowingness, psychic abilities, powers quite amazingly. So can't recommend her enough. Yeah, and if you want to get hold of me, you can reach me at psionicleague.com, as well as I'm on Facebook, Sean Bond, and silvercordspiritualscience, YouTube, and some emails, silvercordspiritualscience@gmail.com. I also have a scheduler. That's the easiest way to reach me. But yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you all, and please spread it out all around. And the more we see that people like this stuff, the more content we will create. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful night. 222 here. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please show your love and subscribe to this channel for more content. Click that like button and share this video. The more people I see watching, the more I know what content people like. The more motivation I have to film and create. Mostly I'm doing this by myself, so the extra little push will definitely get me into action. And blast that notification bell to get the latest alerts on release. Comment your questions and possible future show ideas, what you think, below. I may end up answering those questions in the next show. Links are in the description if you want to contact me for more info.
possible consultations, distant healing, massage, DNA programming, past life readings, and much, much more, as well as the services demonstrated in this video. Go to the psionicleague.com if you are interested in joining the league. Love you all so very much. Thank you for all your support.
With